welcome to the Creating, Living, and Making podcast. I'm Grant.
And I'm Adam.
And I'm Richard.
And this is the Creating, Living, and Making podcast, just like I said. So welcome, guys. It's good to hear from you guys again. It's been a couple of weeks. And so what have you been up to, Adam?
So I just built a cover for a pool pump, which got released today. And I'm about to, after this podcast, start on making a new workbench on the back wall of my shop for all my workbench tools.
What did you do anything fun in the last 2 weeks, like outside of making?
Work.
All right. How about you, Richard? What have you been up to?
Well, I've started a new project. We're doing a full bathroom renovation. It's taken up a lot of time, but we're having a lot of fun with it. We're doing something a little bit different. Our channel is primarily a DIY. So what we've decided to do this time around is, instead of just showing a before picture and a bunch of clips of what we're doing and then a final result, we're kind of doing a step-by-step and breaking it down into a series. And we're going to show exactly how to do each one of the procedures. So we started off in the bathroom. We're doing some painting of the walls and how to patch up holes and apply some texture to it, and then painting it. And we're going to work from there and keep some small videos over the each week for the next probably a couple months until we can show the final result. But again, the main goal for us on this particular thing that we're working on is to be able to show our viewers how to do it, and not just, hey, look at us, this is what we did.
Yeah, I watched the painting one today. It was really good. I like that screwdriver tip, the back end of a screwdriver. That was a really good tip. I guess it's not the tip of the screwdriver, it's the back end. But
the back end, yep. That was actually, I learned that from another YouTuber many years ago, and I couldn't find them to give them credit for.
So the other thing that's very exciting that we all participated in was the origami display challenge hosted by Richard over at the Poor Minds DIY. It was a lot of fun. I made an origami mobile for my son, and I think he really likes it. He still makes me spin it pretty much every day when we go in there, which I'm kind of getting tired of, but don't tell him that. That's the fun. What did you guys build for those who haven't seen it yet?
So I built an Asian temple that was 2 stories, one for the crane that I built and one for the monkey that Richard and Jennifer built, or made. Yeah. I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. It was challenging trying to do the curves and stuff on the roof. Like I ran the pieces of wood across the table saw sideways, which was quite scary at first, but actually ended up being actually less scary than cutting normally. I think because the blade is covered and hidden. Yeah, other than that, I was pretty happy with how it turned out. I changed a couple of details along the way, but yeah, worked out pretty well.
And you, Richard?
Well, before I talk about mine, I got to say, I never expected the mobile, and that mobile was awesome. It was just, it seems kind of simple, but your target audience was your son, and your son, the pictures that you provided were just priceless. That was awesome. Kudos to you on that one there. That was definitely a display for origami, and it came out exceptionally well. I thought maybe you should have added a motor to it or something, so you don't have to keep spinning it on your own and complaining about it. But
why didn't I think of that?
New video idea.
You can add on to that. And then Adam's pagoda that he made was just, we were blown away as we were watching that too. And it was like everybody kept coming up with total different ideas. We figured, everybody's going to just make a square box, and then, some will use the glass, some will use plexi, some won't use any glass and just make it look like a window. It never even dawned on us of the things that you guys would come up with, and that pagoda was beautiful.
Thank you. I love that everyone
when I first
came up with something different. It just shows that everyone has their own taste and everything. And you know what's funny? Everyone keeps saying, was it a pagoda? I never knew that's what it was called until I released a video. And everyone keeps calling it pagoda. I'm like, what is a pagoda? It would have made my life so much easier Googling images if I could just search pagoda or whatever it is instead of Asian temple.
Yeah. Well, as far as I'm concerned, you nailed it. There's a really famous one in Japan called the Golden Pavilion. And when I first saw your thumbnail on that, I was like, no way, he didn't. The pavilion that's in Japan, if you look it up, Golden Pavilion, it's all painted in gold. I don't know if
Yeah,
it's
wow.
got gold flakes or if that's just the paint. It's a beautiful, very famous one in Japan. But I looked at your thumbnail and I would have sworn that you painted the whole thing gold with the black rooftops, and it was like that is just beautiful. And it was like it wasn't gold, but I was thinking about recommending you, hey, go back and repaint that. Look it up on the internet, find that thing and repaint it. And it's like, and then you got my vote for number one again. as as for our build, because we were going with the Japanese origami theme, I decided to kind of make a Zen garden look about it. It was a interesting challenge for us. The idea was to use some sand and epoxy. I didn't want just sand blowing all over the house and spilling everywhere, so I figured I would put it in some epoxy. And we actually had several different attempts on that. Every time we epoxied it, it all just became this one solid lump, and you couldn't even tell there was sand on it. Eventually, we started with just a little bit of epoxy on the bottom and poured a whole bunch of sand on it. And we figured at some point the epoxy couldn't reach any higher up, and you would get dry bits of sand that would set on the top of the rest of the epoxy. And so it did work out, and then we just used a little Dremel to draw in the rake lines of a Zen garden. From there, we added some bamboo, some really small, thin bamboo that we kind of made it look more of a Japanese fence type thing. So we had a good time with that one. But I was really impressed with what you guys did.
Oh, thanks. I thought that was just such an awesome way to collaborate, uh, like all over the world. For you to do the origami and then send it to everyone, I just thought was such a great idea because there's really like I know it was still expensive to ship, like from Hawaii to Australia and Canada. Thank
You
you
should have seen the
again,
price
but
tag on our package.
but
The post office people thought I was nuts. They said, "What's inside here?" And I said,
Paper.
Piece of paper." And it's like, and you're paying what? It's like, just send it, please. So,
well, I know it was actually pretty cheap to go. I sent the bottle opener to Adam. I think it was only $12, but it took 3 weeks. So the USPS must have screwed you a little bit,
yeah,
Richard.
they got me for about 4 times that amount.
Yeah,
What?
Yeah.
Oh my god!
I converted.
Like,
I converted the price tag on my package, and it was like $78 Australian. I was like, "What the fuck?"
Are you serious?
Really?
It was cheaper to send all that wood to me than when we did the coaster collab.
That wood was not. Yeah, we won't discuss the wood either.
Oh god, I'm so sorry.
No. I did it because it was fun and because we
Yeah.
were able to. So no big deal.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. This is why you're a poor man. You give all your money to your friends and family via postage.
I've been catching a lot of heck on that on our channel lately. I got a lot of trolls that are complaining that, oh, you don't know what it's like to be poor, and how dare you name your channel Poor Man, and had to explain to them, if you do a real quick Google search, you're going to find tons of companies with the name Poor. They say Poor Boy Sandwiches, and that doesn't mean that you're necessarily poor. It's just a way of expressing how you can do things without spending a lot of money. But I'm not changing the name. We're happy with it. We're still going to do things.
Until you hit 1 million subscribers and change it to Rich Man's DIY.
Yeah, 1 million. At 1 million, will you change it to Rich Man?
Well, I've asked. Someone said you should change it to Rich Man, and they got kind of irate with me or something about the whole Poor Man thing. And I said, well, I could change it to Rich Man because that is my name. They always called me Rich when I was younger instead of Richard. So I said, I can go with that too. I don't think they like my response too much. So
I actually think that works a lot better because then you can just say, it's the opposite of my name. My name's Rich.
Oh.
And the opposite of rich is poor. And it's like, that's why I did it.
Yeah, that's exactly why I did it. Yep.
There you
Good
go. In
point.
case anyone comes up later, that's a retcon.
Speaking of postage costs, I've got stickers on the way, and like so, like in the YouTube community, everyone does sticker swaps. I was looking at the post office; it's like $4.50 to send a letter to America. I'm like, so that's $4.50 per sticker to send it to America.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
I know it doesn't add. It's not a cheap thing to do a sticker swap.
No,
And then you think about it, and I've had a few people who I swap stickers with then unsubscribe or unfollow me,
Oh no!
and I go
oh.
like, what? Why did you? I like whatever. If you don't want to
It
follow
doesn't.
me, I
It
don't
doesn't
care.
make sense because what do you want the sticker for then?
Right? Like my stickers aren't like super high quality or anything. They're not worth this. Anyways,
Maybe they were
yeah,
hoping to make some money out of it, and your sticker just wasn't going to make anything for them, and they said,
yeah,
unsubscribe.
yeah. Anyways, the other thing that I've been working on is a mud kitchen for my son. I actually completed it last week and delivered it to him, and again got some good reaction photos. Hopefully, had a GoPro going the whole time, and me and my wife were both recording with our cell phones. Um, and hopefully, I'll be getting that video out next weekend. But the this kind of segues nicely into our topic because I wasn't able to go to the hardware store and buy any materials, so I basically built it all out of scrap that I had in the garage. Basically, some stair treads that I got from a friend that he had like temporarily installed, so they're just basically a 2x10s, and then some cedar fence posts and stuff. But it's an interesting, what you can come up with when you don't have a lot of uh, materials around, or you have a little bit of a different situation. So that's what we're going to be talking about today: is how has the current pandemic been affecting how you work? And we're going to start off with Richard on this one.
Okay, actually, you know what? When this whole thing started, you weren't allowed to go to the local hardware stores and pick up anything, so it was a matter of using what you had available. And I had some scrap pieces, and by the time we were done with this, it was like we learned a few things that actually came to be a benefit. Um, Quite some time back, we redid a closet with some cedar planks that's meant for the walls, and it's like, well, I had spares for that. I don't have any other rooms that I plan on using it in, but I had some planks, and I started, you know what, maybe I can make some boards out of this and try that. And it turns out epoxy on that just looks brilliant. And it's like, so by mistake, these cedar planks, which were supposed to be on meant for a wall, when you glue them together and make boards and whatnot out of them, they came out really nice. And so I've actually thinking about going buying a box of planks, not for use on the walls, but for other projects that I could do because we really liked it. So we learned a few things about how these scraps can work for us. So that was actually a benefit to us, regardless of whether the hardware stores were available or not.
How about you, Adam?
Well, it's funny you say that about the scraps actually, because my the pool pump cover that I put out today, well, a couple of days ago, if you're listening to this, is actually completely made up of rough sawn fence palings from the hardware store because they're just cheap and easy to get. And essentially, it's like working with pallet wood. Just run them through the thicknesser, and they're pretty nice and smooth. And in my thought process, like that's like scrap wood to me. So like I use that quite a lot, and flooring and all that sort of stuff as well. I find that scrap wood's actually quite good to work with. You can usually find it free as well. But onto the topic, it actually hasn't really affected me at all. I still go to work every day. My son still goes to daycare. We never were restricted from going to hardware stores or anything like that. So funnily enough, yeah, I haven't really had any issues. I mainly work with scrap wood anyway, so going to the hardware store, all I would have needed is like glue and all that sort of stuff, and I have enough on hand already. So I think you guys got restricted a lot more than Australia did.
Well, I know in Canada, at least in my province in Canada, in Ontario, everything was basically shut down if you weren't an essential business. So in the first, I can't remember, like the first week I didn't leave the house at all. My job, they said we're closing down the office, go home. Right. First week I did nothing, but the second week things started to be like, well, if you can do click and connect, then you can collect it at the curbside. So there was hardware stores were open that way. You would order online, but as far as like the living part, like I haven't really left the house much, other than a couple times I've picked some stuff up at the hardware store. But I'm working remotely, which is nice that I can do that. But when it comes to actually trying to make stuff, like that's why I came up with the mud kitchen. I basically went out to the garage, I took stock of everything, uh, and my biggest problem was actually, those like 15 trips you take to the hardware store whenever you're working on a project to get screws, or oh you ran out of glue, or whatever it was that you're running out of. Like I really wanted to use coated screws because it's something that's going to be sitting outside, and I couldn't get them. Like when I did a click and collect, it was like 4 days later that they said it was ready because they're just inundated with yeah, 4 days.
Wow.
They're inundated with things. Like I've been working on right now, trying to do some painting outside, painting my house, like painting around my windows and stuff. And I needed to get some primer because I didn't have any left. And I ordered it 3 days ago, and I still haven't got a thing saying it's ready. And it's like that's the type of thing that you just like run to the store, grab it, and go. Right? Like
Yeah.
it's off the shelf primer.
I saw
That's
your
it.
oddly satisfying on Instagram. It was oddly satisfying to watch as well.
Yeah. Well, that was yeah, for it was pulling off a bunch of cock was that sounds bad.
Make sure you enunciate that word again, would you please?
Caulking. It was a lot of fun, but yeah, it was. The other part that sucks is I didn't put it, like I ordered some with the primer. Basically, that's all I ordered, but I wasn't expecting to have to pull all that caulking off, and now I'm gonna have to order like 2 more tubes of caulking to replace that. It just it just sucks because it's something that's like, oh, I ran out of caulking. Run to the store, grab a couple like tubs. They're literally in the aisle at the checkout. You don't even have to go anywhere. You just go to the checkout. They're right there. And I can't. I have to. Yeah, that's the part that's really frustrating
It's so interesting to
because
me
I'm not
because
good at planning.
like to us, our hardware stores were essential, made essential. So like they never closed. People could go there. You had to keep like social distancing rules and all that sort of stuff, but you could still go there or pick up whatever you want. There were a couple of people that got questioned because like we weren't allowed to leave the house unless necessary, and people were like, "Well, why is the shop open if I can't go there?" So a few people got in trouble, and then the government turned around and said, "Well, if the shop is open, you can legally go there. That's why they're open." And yeah, so like it's crazy that like I've heard so many stories of people saying they can't go just pick something up on that, and it's insane to think. I couldn't imagine how hard that would be.
Well, I think this COVID situation. Hear me out. It sounds kind of morbid, but I think there's some benefits that are going to be coming out. I think there's going to be a lifestyle change because of this, and these businesses are learning things that they didn't have before. There were a few of them that did delivery services, and there were not a whole bunch of them. There weren't a lot of them that did online shopping. The big box offices did it, but not all of them. And now you see these mom and pop shops that are scrambling to make sure they stay in business. They found the ability of somebody who built them web pages and allowed them and taught them how to put up their items, and then people would buy it, and then they're allowed to go drive there and do a curbside pickup. The big box office, or the big box stores that we bought from, they've changed some things. It used to be if you buy like a refrigerator, washer, dryer set, and you spend $1,000, that's when they would give you delivery. But if you wanted to order small things, it's like it's not worth our time, or we're going to charge you $100 per item. It's like, well, I don't want to pay $100 for a tube of caulk and $100 for some paint. So just for one delivery, it's like that's ridiculous. But I think they were desperate for business because people weren't able to come to them. That they changed their policy where it was now you can order a whole bunch of different things and it would be one shipment and only one charge of $75, which for us was just brilliant, because before, when we wanted to get bigger items, it wouldn't fit in our little car. We would have to go rent a truck, and you would pay more than 70 some odd dollars for that. So now we ordered some stuff, and much to our surprise, they said, "Yep, they're going to contact you when it's ready." And we figured it was going to be a couple weeks. We had someone pounding at our door, scared to live in tar of us. It's like no one's supposed to be out and about, and who was banging on our door? And it was the delivery guy, and he's got a pallet worth of stuff that we ordered online. And I suspect that if these companies are wise, even when this thing settles down, they will continue to do business like that. They may go to the old way of letting everybody in their store, but I suspect they're going to have continued curbside pickup, continue with some deliveries with some things. So I think, in a way, this will actually improve some things in how we do business and be able to pick up some things. I'm sorry to hear it takes 4 days over there for your store. We place an order online, and they text me usually within an hour or two and say it's ready, and I go out down there and pick it up. So we've been pretty fortunate. I guess they got a better methodology.
As bad as it sounds, I feel like I've benefited more from this thing. Like, more places are doing home deliveries and all that sort of stuff. Like it's weird. And like, even like, you look at like the movie studios now are looking at putting movies. I think Fast 9 might even be going like straight to streaming services instead of the movies. Like, I prefer that. Like, it sucks that it took a pandemic for this sort of stuff to happen, but I can see a lot of positives coming from it.
Well, for me, the one big positive is beer delivery. They're doing all the craft breweries around here are doing free delivery. Basically, if you buy a case of beer, they'll get free delivery. I always buy like 3 or 4 cases of beer, but anyways, it's been great. Free delivery on case, but the big problem is they're not accepting empty returns at all of the locations. So the one near my house is accepting empty returns. So I went there, and the lineup to do empties was like 30 people long. It was insane.
Ours have just reopened as well.
Because
but same issue. The lines are so long.
Can you clarify this for me?
Yeah.
Let me make sure I understand this. If you order items that are essential from a hardware store, it takes 4 days. But beer, they get that to you right away.
Beer is also so it's.
So we know where your priorities are in Canada.
Well, I think the issue is that a lot of people that are working from home now are trying to do home renovations and all that sort of stuff. So the big stores are like inundated with orders and stuff of people trying to do renovations.
That's what's happened. Yeah. The interesting thing is our liquor control board. It's called the LCBO, the Liquor Control Board of Ontario. That's where you can buy like all the hard alcohol and also beer, but mainly it's for where you can get the hard alcohol. I know, like in Hawaii, you can go to Costco and get Kirkland brand whiskey. I know that we don't got that here, but you have to go to a special place. But they never shut down. They were operating the whole time, but they're controlled by the government, which I thought it's kind of like a revenue thing. My city is losing $1 million a day just on transit, apparently.
I work in transit, and I wouldn't even know that number, but they refuse to stop the trains and everything because they don't want to lose the money. But no one's catching them because everyone has to stay home. So,
right.
I've literally driven trains that like have 2 people on there for a whole hour.
Yeah. So that's an interesting part about maybe one of the positives of this situation is the work situation. Like, before, I know I was already doing work from home 1 day a week. So I already had like a tablet, and I could connect through a VPN securely to my network and all that fun stuff. But I really think there's a lot of people who now are going to be able to work from home. Like, obviously, if you work on a train, you can't work from home. But there's going to be a lot of times where people are going to be evaluating whether or not coming into the office is actually something that needs to happen. I know for me, I really miss the interaction with people, but I do like working from home for the most part. But it just makes it so that you can't just pop into someone's cubicle and say, "Hey, I've got this issue. Can I talk it through with you?" That part's hard. But
I remember seeing a meme when this whole thing first started, and it was like, 2 things we've learned: essential workers don't get paid enough, and 90% of people can work from home.
Yeah. Yeah. What about you, Richard? You working from home?
I am working for the government. They put us on VPN pretty much right away. So I've been here. I don't even know how many weeks now. It's been well over a month or so, and working from home the whole time.
For me, it's almost
But the benefit on this is that I now have a little extra time every day to continue on projects because here in Hawaii the commute is rated number one worst in the U.S. year after year. We're either one or number two. So driving 12 miles, about 16 kilometers, takes over an hour each way, and that's no fun on a tiny little island. So the fact that I save 2 hours of driving time every single day, that means I get done with work and I can kind of pop right into the garage and kind of start working on some things or painting something. So yeah, I'm kind of going to miss it if I have to start driving all the way into work.
Yeah, that's an insane. So I do. It's about 45 minutes, and I take. Unfortunately, right now I take a bus and a train. Eventually, the train is going to come to where I get on the bus. But I do 45 minutes each way, so that's an hour and a half extra that I get to sleep in. You can spend it however you want, but it is nice that I get that extra hour. I instead stay up later and do a little work, try and do video editing at midnight.
And you got 3 cases of beer to finish too.
I'm an hour each way to work, and I don't get to work from home, so enjoy your extra time.
No problem. But right now you got no traffic.
Yeah. So actually, there's a lot more than what I thought it would be, but yeah, it's a lot better than it used to be. I don't really, the times I work, because I'm a shift worker, I don't really get the traffic that much. Normally, I'm going opposite to the traffic, which is pretty good. But yeah, the thing, if they work out how I can work from home, my government will then ship my job overseas. So I don't want that to happen.
Yeah, that's I don't know. It's one of those driving things that I go, anyone who's like operating something that way, I want to see someone there.
Well, we just, I think around the beginning of this year, they released a metro service, which is driverless. And the whole thing just freaks me out. And it's so stupid like that. So they have this system where if there's an issue or something, the headlights turn into high beams. And it's like, the headlights themselves are like really bright on the metro, and it's like, why do you have headlights if you don't have a driver? It doesn't make sense.
Oh, that's true. That's a good point.
Yeah. I just
I've never been on it. I don't know how people get on it. It's just weird.
Yeah, driverless stuff for me. I think that's a whole topic for a whole nother podcast.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't know. But yeah, there's definitely going to be some positive things that come out of this. There's obviously the unfortunate parts, so we don't want to minimize any of that. There's, everyone probably knows someone who's been affected. I know for me, like my father works in a prison, so he's kind of got to go into work. He's an essential worker. My mother was in Spain and Portugal when the outbreaks happened there. She happened to be on vacation, so that was like a scary time because like she tried to get a flight back early, but there weren't any extra flights. Yeah. So all the flights were canceled, so she had to come back at her normal time, which is great. She didn't lose any vacation time. But
I know a few people that were in America when it first started, and they wanted to come home early because there was no point in being there. Disneyland and everywhere where they wanted to go was all closed. Like, what's the point of being here? We're just wasting time when we should be home at quarantining anyway.
Well, yeah, if you're coming from a sunny place to another sunny place, but if you're coming from Canada during the winter, you'll stay in Spain or Portugal. Like, at least it's not minus like whatever.
But it was pretty cold this morning.
Yeah. So yeah, what was it?
4 degrees.
4. Yeah, it was 4 here, and that was a warm day. Celsius. You guys use Celsius down in Australia, right?
Yeah. I don't understand that.
So what's
Fahrenheit
that like?
Crap.
Fahrenheit makes sense when it comes to pool temperatures. Like I know, like at 85 degrees is pretty good. 90 is a perfect pool temperature. But I have no clue what that is in Celsius. That's the only thing I know in Fahrenheit.
You're right.
But so I think you guys got anything else you want to talk about on that?
As I said, didn't really affect me that much. So
all right, fair. Well, that's good and bad. But anyways, okay. Uh, the next part we're going to be going over to is we're going to be going to the recommendations part of our podcast. At some point, we'll figure out some sort of smooth transition, but for now, that's what it was. So we're going to start off with Adam now. What's your recommendation or your clamp mandation, or what's inspiring your
I'm
clamps?
just looking it up because I don't want to get his name wrong. So I don't know where it popped up on newsfeed or something on YouTube, but I found a channel. It's a pretty big channel, but his name's Michael Reeves, and he just I don't know what he doesn't have any qualifications, but he makes robots for no reason at all, like just for fun. His videos are pretty vulgar, like he swears a lot and all that sort of stuff. But I found it really, it's like he made he got an airsoft gun that aims at you, and then if you take damage in Fortnite, it shoots you in real life. Just stuff like it's so stupid, but like I don't know, I just found it really interesting.
That's funny.
He made a laser pointer
So
that like follows you around the room and shoots you in the eye. Just yeah. So Michael Michael space Reeves Reeves.
All right. So one day there'll be show notes, and probably we'll include that a link to that.
I'm writing them now.
There you go. And how about you, Richard?
Show notes will be on this episode.
Awesome. Okay, and we'll pop back and put them in the first episode.
I'm going to recommend a friend of mine named from a channel called Bat City Design. Bat City Design is also more of a DIY rather than a woodworker or maker. And just by fluke, he posted a video recently on renovating a bathroom, which is kind of what we were working on, but he beat us to it. And he managed to do something for under $100, and it was like it was simple stuff that really made the bathroom pop. He has a one wall that he put some color to it that was different from the rest as an accent wall. He framed the mirror that before was just I'm assuming it was a beveled edge mirror with nothing around it, but he put some simple wood around it, and it just made it look completely different. For all I know, that could have been a pallet wood or something, but how he handled it, it just really made it look like he went out and spent a lot of money on a mirror on that, and with all the color, and he put some shelving in there, and it really looked nice. So that kind of thing, it's like, you know what, I see stuff like that. For a young man and his wife to be able to do something like that for inexpensively, that's kind of how we look at it as the poor man's way of doing things, and so that was kind of inspirational. So I would definitely recommend checking that one out. Again, it was at Bat City Designs.
Yeah, Sean over there at Bat City Designs does some amazing stuff, and a lot of it, like you're saying, on the poor man way, doing it on the cheap and showing you little tips and tricks on how to do stuff, like install recessed lighting. I'm pretty sure he has the YouTube record for the most videos showing you how to install recessed lighting. But that bathroom did turn out really good. I do think that he does great work, and I have no clue how he finds the time with two little kids. But you know, maybe he's just more motivated than me. Uh, So my recommendation is going to be Harkey over at the Longhorn Workshop. He put out a video yesterday doing a quick and easy resin bowl, like epoxy resin bowl, and he used bubble wrap of all things to make this bowl to use as the form. And I just thought that looked so cool the way it turned out with the like almost like not honeycomb, but almost honeycomb pattern to it, and the colors and the way that he did it with the shaping it around another vase. I just thought it was really cool, and I think he deserves some more views on his channel because he puts out some good stuff. Along with the week before he put out a nice little mallet video, which was really cool. Putting out a giant mallet, the same week that Jimmy DiResta puts out a giant mallet. Yeah, you got to go. That's a big go big or go home kind of moment. I remember I put out a spoon carving video the same week Jimmy DiResta put out a spoon carving video, and I went, "Wow, that's really cool." He got like a lot more views than me though, so But I just remember looking over the comments where a lot of people were going, "Wow, you did this!" Like he did the you take one half of it and you trace the other side so that you have a symmetrical spoon. And everyone was like, "Wow, that's so amazing!" And I'm like, "That's exactly what I did, and I didn't even see the video yet." And I just thought, like, well, that's you know, and everyone's giving him props, and not a single person noticed it in my video at all. And I just went, "Ah."
Before you move on, also separate to our recommendations, I do want to give a shout out to TF Turning for doing the music for this podcast, and I'll have links to his socials in the show notes as well. So go give him some love.
Yeah, Tim, I believe Tim is his name, but everyone calls him Pog for no good reason, and he can't explain it to me other than that's what his dad called him. Uh, he's a really good guy, really good turner.
Yes, definitely.
But and also obviously a musician.
He's definitely also stepped up his game with his videos too.
Yeah, totally. And that one that is like cinematic friend did the video of is like
I could watch that. So that's beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, man, that he needs his friend back in the shop more often. All right, well, so now where can we find you? That's the next section of the podcast. So I'm gonna start off with Richard. Where can everyone find you?
Well, I'm on YouTube under Poor Man's DIY. We make DIY. We do woodworking and maker projects. I do it along with my wife as a partner. She wasn't able to join us on this, but you can check us both out again at Poor Man's DIY on YouTube.
Yeah, and I think you're on Instagram too, aren't you?
I do. Yeah, I do kind of give more just a case of, hey, this is what I'm working on, but I don't get into real specifics or that's not the focal point for us.
Yeah, but if you want the teaser, if you're so into Poor Man's DIY and you need to know what's happening and you want to get the little teaser pics on what's going to come next, you go over to the Instagram.
Well put, sir. Well put.
All right. And how about you, Adam?
So I'm on YouTube and Instagram, both under Maker Mackie. Instagram, I don't know. I find Instagram really hard. It's like it seems so simple. It's just it seems so simple just to post some photos, but like I don't know. I post there often enough, I guess. Mostly teasers. Yeah.
Yeah. I get what you're saying. Instagram is hard. It's like there's a little like boom trick, and then all of a sudden things start to work. And I think talking about how to grow on channels is going to be a nice topic for another day.
Definitely.
But,
yeah.
You know, there is one of us here who's actually monetized on YouTube. Only one of us.
I must say, I think the fact that I use my phone to record hinders my Instagram because I can't take photos while I'm recording.
I never put teaser photos up. So that's totally, and I know I have the biggest 1,000 people Instagram following of the three of us. So I think it's more about the hashtags, less about the hashtags and community. But yes. Community is another good topic for another day. And if you're listening to this and you are inspired to contact us because you'd like to hear more about any of the particular topics that we've mentioned throughout the podcast, like community, and you want to hear our thoughts on it, just hit us up on the Clampcast Instagram page.
Yeah, we have an Instagram.
Just DM us there. Yeah, we have an Instagram. I'm sure there's like 5 people following us, so it's good. But you can follow us there, and there'll be every time we put out a new episode. If you want to let us know ahead of time anything you want us to talk about, if you've got any questions for us, feel free to hit us up there. I forgot to mention 15 followers according to Adam there. So I forgot to mention who I am. I'm the Grant Alexander. That's where you can find me all over the social internet web thing. Mainly do YouTube and Instagram, but I also have a Facebook. I don't have Twitter because I don't understand it. I don't have TikTok either because I really don't understand that. And
you don't know how to dance.
Oh, I know how to dance, and there's pictures and videos of it. So
then you need to be on TikTok.
Yeah, and I like dancing, but
I thought you were going to get up and dance.
Yeah. So that would. No one's watching, so yes, I'm doing that right now. I'm dancing, and everyone's like, "Wow, look how good he is."
I'm learning a whole new side of you. Beer, extra sweet,
Wait,
and dancing.
wait, you
right.
didn't know he liked beer?
Good point. Okay, not that quantity.
So,
How's that?
so today I learned that Richard doesn't watch the end of your videos.
Well, then he probably doesn't watch the middle of them either, because I'm getting a lot of heck on the internet for drinking a beer. The best thing is I got like my first negative comment the other day, and it was about drinking in my video. And it's one of the few videos where I don't have a beer on the bench while I'm actually recording. Like, I went through the whole thing to make sure. I was like, no, I only drank at the end. Like, usually once I get into the hand sanding part, I'm like, well, it's time to open a beer.
Yeah, as long as you're not using power tools. Well,
come on, sanding.
How else do you get through the sanding process? You got to be drunk.
Right. Exactly. Anyways, that's a story for... Anyways, I wasn't drinking using power tools, as far as I know. Or as far as any of you know. It's been a lot of fun chatting with you guys today. And anyone got any other business they want to discuss before we end the podcast?
Nope.
And we got some shaking heads no, so I'm going to have to say that's probably a no. So I just want to say thank you, everyone, for listening. And,
I do have something to include to everybody. Make sure you be safe and stay healthy.
It's good advice. All right, well, thank you, everyone, for listening, and I hope you enjoyed it. And don't forget, the best thing you can do to help support us is to tell a friend to listen. Yeah, thank you very much.
Share the podcast.